Hello and welcome to a sixth line day. So already it comes around so fast, doesn't it? It's like we're in gate 3 now and already we're in a sixth line day. And I'm hoping my jumper isn't going to itch my nose today because you can't do anything about it when a mohair starts itching. What are you going to do? Surrender, actually, which is the name of this line today. We have the third line in gate 6. No, the third gate in line 6. And it's called surrender. Oh, yeah. This is the wisdom of the sixth line, really. Surrender, it could be a keynote genetically through for all of 6 lines. It's something that they're very gifted at doing. And they also are very gifted at knowing when they might as well surrender because there's nothing else to do. They're surrendering to knowing or not knowing in this mutative individual channel. This is where we find the ultimate maturity to recognize when struggle is futile. Okay, this is their lifetime learning here. This is something that they go through their third line phase, and this is what they find at the other end of it, knowing basically when it's time to let go. The Exalted says, as its light sustains, so life goes on. The innate acceptance that ordering is a process, not a problem. This is where we find that, everything we've been hearing over the course of this transit, that mutation is nothing that be controlled. It can't be manipulated. It comes in its own time, or it doesn't come at all. And this is something that the sixth line learns very early on in its process. You can't push it. It either comes or it doesn't come. And that can be actually really painful for these 6 lines. They have to realize and surrender to the fact that there's nothing they can do about it. And once they've learned that lesson, they can be very wise. The detriment is another Pluto, so it's dormant currently, which is no bad thing, because it says, as darkness overwhelms, life can seem worthless, leading to depression and the sense of hopelessness. Excellent. So moving swiftly on from that one. So the people we're finding here in this 6th line, these are people who are never free, Bear says. Bear? Ra, even. Really, well, you need to get those two separated in my mind, don't they? These are people who are never free of the pain of not knowing, of not really getting it. And if they are unable to accept that within themselves, then it can be a really, really painful thing for them. They have to learn to just wait, and that anything else is futile. Ra says that often the mutation that can be carried here is something that comes down through the bloodline, and it doesn't always manifest in the current lifetime. It can skip generations. So here you can have someone who is desperate for transformation of some sort because they can feel that potential within them. They know they're carrying it somehow, but it never comes. Surrender is the nature of what it is to live life in a confusing body. And confusion has been a theme that has run all the way through this 3rd gate. It's a confusing world. What else can we do but surrender to it, to then just follow our strategy and authority? We sit in the back seat. And that's what happens when we're actually just sitting in the back seat as the passenger. That is our surrender. It's not up to us to dictate the nature of the solution, or even to dictate the nature of the mutation, or anything that's around that. Nothing is up to us. Ordering comes of itself or not. The sacral is no awareness center. It has no voice. It's very much, Ra called it a dumb motor. See, Ra called it that, that's not me. Just in case any generators start shouting at me, it's not me. It's just doing its job. The sacral does its job, and it does it beautifully. But it's not an awareness center, and it has no power on its own to manifest anything. But it puts out an energy field, and within this energy field, when it's sleeping into gate 3, we find the potential for surrender. The 6th line doesn't have to do anything. We know that if there is no benefit to what's going on, it's not going to come down off the roof. It likes to know that it's got some kind of stake in the business. It just wants a reason for doing it. It's been kicked around in its 3rd line phase. It's been quite happy up on the roof. assimilating everything it's learned. It's like, okay, give me a good reason to come down. That's really what it's saying here. They don't really want to have anything to do with confusion. They don't want to have anything to do with mutation. They're not really interested about any of that. The phrase Ra used, which is so nice, he says they will stand back and vibrate within their sixth line. Life just happens, doesn't it? Doesn't make any difference whether we surrender to it or whether we're in resistance to it. We can't change it. And really, as long as we don't try and make it be good or bad, it really doesn't matter. We are what we are, and life happens, and that's it, really. With the sacral not being an awareness center, it means really there's no fear around it, because fear is generated either through the spleen, the ajna, or the solar plexus. So any fears that come through about surrender or order or mutation, these are actually coming from the mind. These are stories that the mind is giving us, and they don't really have any truth to them. Life happens regardless of our feelings around it, and all we have to do is vibrate in the process of surrender and response. Leadership is gate 50 in the line 6. So this is where we get to the process of really setting the values and really digging into responsibility, perhaps. The 6th line is aware of all of these things. They've had their time of constantly changing their values. They've been through that 3rd line process probably, where they bump into a value here, they bump into another value here, and they work out their value system over time. And they're not really bothered about anybody else's value system. They're not an evangelist, they're not a missionary, they're not trying to externalize anything like that. They're quite happy in their own value system. They can be quite grounded in that, in a sense. But they know what values are for them. Ra says that this brings up a really important point. He says that you can only really know what values are for you when you're living out your type, strategy, and authority. Otherwise it doesn't work. And he said this before about the lines, that if you're not following your type, strategy, and authority, none of the lines are going to work as they really could. None of them will fulfill their potential. Having an effective leadership that is solid in its values, because it's been through such a deep process to finesse them, that's really good grounding for surrender. Allowing you to surrender into something that can truly support you, that can hold you. Through this particular gate transit, going through the 3 and 50 here, I've really had a sort of new appreciation, you could say, for the way that some of these gates have, the way that they support, ground each other, the way they play together, I suppose. It's really beautiful when you start watching it. Have you been feeling that with this particular one? If you have, leave a comment, and let's talk about it. I'd love to know your experience of this gate 3. So the moon, what's the moon up to here? We've been in gate 47. We're still in gate 47 for a little while longer, and then move into gate 6 at 1309 BST. And this is the gate of conflict, the gate of friction. It's where we're told that growth cannot exist without friction. One opens or closes unconsciously almost. It's a reflex that happens. It's a chemistry almost within our body when we're in the aura of another. And this will control then the emotional flow that comes out of the solar plexus, because gate 6 is a solar plexus gate. It's also the generator for all the emotional waves, which is like, whoa, it's a very rich, very complex gate in that sense. So we have here, we find need, we find passion, we find desire. We also find moods and sensitivity and feelings. And boundaries are especially important here, because this gate is, as it's biologically, it controls the pH of our body. And that helps to control the boundaries. It keeps what should be inside, and what should be outside, it keeps it outside. So maybe there's something there that you can experience today, some sense of the boundaries that are around you, or maybe a sense when you go into one particular aura or place, you can feel yourself maybe closing off to the experience there. I feel that sometimes when I go into big supermarkets, especially those kind of DIY type supermarkets, those warehouse type places. I'm I definitely close down in places like that. It's a very palpable experience. Gate 46 is the last gate, and we go into that at midnight BST. Pushing upward, this is the gate of the determination of the self. This is the temple. You know, this is the love of the body, or not. Experiencing life, it says, through the physical body and the physical quality of life itself, which includes love of the body, and also then the appreciation of the sensuous and sensual nature of life itself. It's a gate of synchronicity, so it's being in the right place at the right time, and also the determination to let go of expectations and surrender, which is quite nice, link in there to the gate 3, surrender to an experience. Ra said how saddened and appalled he was when he started sharing all of this human design material, and he was realizing just how many people didn't love themselves. And this is also often true of people who just don't love their bodies. So maybe there can be some exploration of that during this moon transit. So we have a new gate tomorrow. I will look forward to seeing you when we start to explore that. And until then, go gently. Love yourself. Why not? I don't usually say that one. That's usually, I leave that up to Ra. But love yourself. Be kind to yourself. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.